Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime series proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us every Wednesday and Thursday on the Lunchtime series on ebizradio.com, and where you can where we chat about everything leadership coaching and marketing, and you can listen to the Lunchtime series on all your major podcast channels. So in today's marketing and communication expert joining us and co-host joining us, Craig Page Lee. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, less of the expert, more a case of just passionate about this.
Well, we will have to beg to differ. But
Oh,
okay,
no, that's
so
great.
have you had a good week? Has it been a? I mean, it's been a cold one.
It's been a really invigorating, crisp, fresh week, which I thoroughly enjoy because you can just sort of settle in and just crack on and with work and not, wonder about being out in the wonderful blue yonder sky out there. Yeah, good week, lots of planning and making sure that opportunities of workflow do come in. It's always tough this time of the year, and again, as we mentioned a little while ago, if you consider the number of months left in the week, at least the number of months left in the year, we really only have about 6 months of effective work gaining opportunity, because November, December, or at least December, January in this country really is downtime, holiday time,
Yeah.
the summer season time kind of thing. So it's about making the best of the next 6 months ahead. And yourself?
Yeah, no, it's been a very very interesting. I got word from from one of our biggest clients yesterday that they want to redo a specialized leadership program. So I'm like, yay, which starts in July. And I'm like, that's always like when you get that kind of phone call and they go, okay, this is definitely something we want to do again.
Awesome.
So, and this year would be the third year in a row that I'm, doing this program with Regenesis Business School. So it's just really nice to be in that position and where your work speaks for itself and people are requesting to work with you. So
That's great, but it's good here because the brand has been a bit quiet of late. Though. Yeah, I don't see much advertising out there. I don't see many billboards again. They were quite prevalent at one stage.
They were, and I think it's probably part of the. I mean, we went to a shopping. I took my daughter for sushi yesterday, and we walked through a mall, a Cresta shopping mall, and the amount of shops that have closed down in shopping malls, and I'm just like, what the hell is? And they were big restaurants that have closed down. And when you see that in real time, you kind of go, the economy is impacted in ways that we don't even realize until you see it like that. I mean, we had a meeting yesterday morning in Sandton, and when you drive in Sandton, there's a lot of buildings empty. There's just
Kevin, as a former architect and working with developers for a long period of time, I'm acutely aware of the built environment. It's a key part of my DNA, and I've spent the last 2 weeks driving around the Sandton area, Sunninghill. I had the opportunity of going to South of Joburg last week, and I'm aghast at the amount of empty buildings where the signage is, and not just freestanding buildings, office parks as well, where signage being pulled off the walls and it's locked up and desolate and to let signs. And if you understand the structures of retirement funds and investment funds and how much of that is linked to the property sector, and I left there thinking like, where's the growth? Is there any growth in any of these funds where many of the buildings supported by the big brands that redefines the growth points, et cetera, are actually standing empty? What is that doing to pensioners' retirement funding and the likes? And it's something that's a real concern to me.
what I was just thinking driving past it yesterday was, how do you then take a commercial building like that and potentially just turn it into space where people live?
Santon's got a few buildings that have had that renovation. upscaling kind of proposition in place. The lower end of Rivonia, there are a couple of buildings there that developers are looking at doing more of. So definitely there's some infill segments in the cities that are beginning to utilize empty office buildings. The one great thing about many office buildings is you've got all the parking infrastructure, which really in itself is an important component. So yeah, there's some developers who focus especially on that proposition. I don't think there's enough of that happening. However, the complexities of an office building, grids and physical structure within, the hard-coded concrete structure within there makes it difficult, and inevitably some of those conversions are actually quite expensive. So that in itself is a big challenge for developers to get around.
Yeah. Just another thing that's, living in South Africa makes living in South Africa so fantastic. Craig, as we start today's show, what are the key reminders from last week's conversation?
Kevin, thanks. So yeah, last week we reviewed some of the content from a really insightful report that was published by Euromonitor International, and it was as recent as 23 April this year. Titled Transform Your Innovation Strategy with Megatrends, the report was authored by Alison Angus, Head of Practice of Innovation, and she had 10 other contributors, each providing some input into the particular megatrends listed. So the 4 key takeaway points that I want to pick up on for reminder from last week really refer to the how to use megatrends for strategic planning section, Kevin. But I want to open with a reference first as to why megatrends. Okay, so for starters, megatrends are long-term fundamental shifts in consumer behavior. They tell you how your customers' values, priorities, and preferences are and continue to evolve, which informs their lifestyle and consumption choices. Their characteristics can overlap and intersect and even be contradictory at times. So let's take a quick look at those 4 points, again, telling us how to use megatrends for strategic planning, Kevin. So the first step here is about identify and prioritize. And firstly, you need to identify which of the megatrends are most important for your business. Remember, there can be similarities or synergies, but also contrasts amongst the megatrends. Keep your customers top of mind always. The ones you focus on should align with their evolving needs, but also your product portfolio and market dynamics. Megatrends are a powerful force. Concentrate on a few that best appeal to your brand so that your product development, acquisition, and marketing plans are positioned for success. Step 2 is assess. Next, evaluate the impact of each on your sector or product categories. You really need to understand the quantitative shifts of the top drivers like population, interest, at least internet access and expenditure. And these insights will help develop a better understanding of your selected megatrend and how the megatrends will evolve over time. Begin by focusing on specific consumer needs per megatrend and look for those relevant campaigns or case studies to see how each is materializing in the market. And there are many success stories out there to leverage off of, Kevin. Step 3, build your innovation pipeline. Once you've got that clear vision of growth potential in place, divide the opportunities into immediate and long-term timelines. Start with initiatives that the existing portfolios and capabilities can capitalize on with very little investment. Don't forget to plan for those long-term initiatives, though these obviously require further exploration, but remember that also does require a bit of investment into the future. And the final step is step 4, review and evolve. Customer behavior and priorities are as dynamic as the change you experience in the world. Businesses or brands need to ensure that they are positioned to adapt their strategies to do the same. Don't make strategy a one-time process. Point we've definitely mentioned before. You'll be much better equipped to compete and innovate for your customer base if you pay close attention to and act on the relevant megatrends, Kevin. And those are the key takeaway points from last week.
Fantastic. Greg, thank you for the summary of last week, guys. You can catch it on the Lunchtime series, all major podcast channels, and check it out on YouTube because then you can see our lovely faces as well. Craig, so I mean, what are we chatting about today? What's up for discussion?
Yeah, Kevin. So as I mentioned last week, the insights from the report are really, really compelling and important for brands to understand when looking to build out a bit of a roadmap for success. And as such, I thought I'm going to actually address the balance of those trends that we didn't cover last week. And just to recap, the 10 mega trends were listed as follows: convenience, digital living, diversity inclusion, experience more, personalization, premiumization, pursuit of value, shopper reinvented, sustainable living, and wellness. And again, it's interesting because just about every single one of those trends we have covered in some form of conversation over the last year and a half or so of the show. And we covered 4 distinct themes last week, which were quite connected, those being convenience, digital living, experience more, and personalization. And then just as a reminder for the listeners, Kevin, the report provides a really cool section which is focusing on areas for innovation for each of the trends covered. So I'm just going to give a bit of an oversight of each trends and then look at those 2 or 3 points for focus of innovation for each point.
Fantastic, Greg. Yeah, I mean, we only had enough time to discuss those 4, but I mean, like the rest of them are, after discussing them, they really kind of start piquing your interest. You kind of go,
Yes.
okay, so what else are these mega trends showing us? And so I'm glad that we're going to be touching on some more of this.
And again, just as the article clearly advises, they are so interconnected and interrelated, yet can be so opposing in certain instances. So let's start with one that appeals immensely to both you and I, the important megatrend of diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
And Kevin, here we learn that everyone has the rights to feel heard, empowered, and treated equally, and that stereotypes and stigmas are gradually being broken, which is a good thing. However, there's still a lot of work to be done, but fair representation is coming to the forefront and inclusion is indisputable. Here, businesses need to understand that their mission plays a significant role and that equity should sit at the core of corporate values. Consumers expect brands to take action and demonstrate tangible impact. Something we spoke about with the boomers and Gen Z, I mean millennials and Gen Z. They also demanding authenticity and consistency and clearly state that disingenuous or empty promises will not be tolerated. Brands that deliver stand to gain trust and loyalty, and all others will become irrelevant, Kevin. That's a given. So the focus areas for innovation, there are 2 for this particular point, and the first here is a holistic approach. So as no 2 people are the same, brands must address this multidimensional need of consumers, and this can be done in a number of ways. Firstly, by tailoring, expanding, or redesigning product lines for different cultures, communities, or abilities. But key is knowing how to create inclusive workforces, supply chains, and partnerships. But this does, however, require quite a bit of dedication and investment as well. And to create long-term brand equity, Kevin, it's important to create a comprehensive strategy that weaves DEI principles throughout the business. The second focus area is about brand purpose. Again, another one of those incredible conversations we have is your brand values must be at the center of your business plans and innovations. And most importantly, they must match those of your customers. Otherwise, brand activism will only continue to rise, especially when it comes to social responsibility. Your brand purpose needs to connect with your customers on a deeper level, as shoppers won't buy from brands they don't trust or that don't share the same beliefs. And the same goes for that conversation and principle of thinking into an organization as well, not just to a consumer-based environment.
Craig, as you're speaking now, you're just speaking about, really being at the forefront of being a brand that really just captures an audience in such a way. And I'm gonna reference the strangest thing to you now, and it just occurred to me because no one does it like she does. Is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. I recently saw a short video of Taylor Swift who sold out a 70,000 seater venue, and because everyone knew that she was coming to that city, She had an additional 100,000 and I think 130,000 people outside the stadium come and support her being in that city.
Wow.
You kind of go, well, there's 200,000 people coming to see one person, you know,
Wow.
and you kind of go, there must be a whole bunch of marketing brilliance behind getting that messaging, getting that on target, on brand, on point, to pull people to come and stand outside a venue just to be part of the, you know, that brand moment, having that person in that space.
And there definitely must be some kind of deeper level connection there, because
Yeah.
there's some great musos, but they stand for so many bad things in the world and just don't resonate at a values level with the listeners and those that are purchasing their products. So big up to her. Yeah,
Because part
incredible.
of sorry to interject there, but like part of what she does is she's very, if you watch, and when we have these conversations, I start paying attention to people who are putting themselves out there, people who are creating this really amazing, in your face, noticeable brand. And Taylor Swift's interviews, if you listen to her interviews, if you listen to her opinion, if you listen to her empowerment of women, like she's so key. If you listen to how she markets her album, the strategy that she uses to market her album, part of, and I might be corrected if I'm wrong here, but part of the strategy of marketing her album was to get her album, only release a couple of songs on iTunes, and then send her audience to a different place to go and download all the other songs.
So what's really amazing here is I think she has also, and I'm sure we've touched on this once before in one of the shows, where Taylor Swift actually had some kind of mental disorder or body dysmorphia issues, and she's really had to work hard to deal with self-perception. And I think she's put a couple of really interesting programs in place where she's worked with herself and allowed others who have some challenge of self as well to come to the fore. So definitely there is a much deeper emotional connection for the betterment of self, and therefore some really good that she's putting back to society and enabling conversations around some of these things. Yeah, sure.
But the strategic mind behind being innovative, Craig, like focus on the innovation. How do you take the story of this girl and create a brand and a brand purpose from her, tailoring it to a certain group of people and a certain culture and a certain narrative, to that degree where you sell out a stadium and you have 100,000 people standing outside just because you're in the town, like
And
that's impressive.
what I find absolutely fascinating around that is she stands for an anti-hero status in so many instances, and that is just, she's created this powerful image of anti-hero status, yet she's the epitome of heroine in that instance. That's absolutely incredible.
Okay, so I'll shut up now. Carry on, please.
Let's look at the next trend, premiumization. So premium means different things to different people, with individual priorities often influencing those perceptions, Kevin, and driving their willingness to pay more for what matters to them. Personal growth and self-improvement also motivate these purchase decisions, because customers really want to start investing in their own development, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic. Products commanding a premium price point must help consumers achieve their lifestyles and align with their personal choices, and therefore benefits need to be obvious, and most importantly, they need to equate to the cost. There are two focus areas for innovation here as well. The first being that services that add value, and I quite like this. So consumers can be selective about what they indulge in, with purchase choices often being driven by more than just a luxury brand or high-end product. Consumers are looking for services that actually complement a product, upgrade functionality or expertise, and brands really need to know how they can elevate or enhance these services to ensure that they resonate with consumers. that leads into the perfect segue to point to focus area 2, which is positioning. So a brand's positioning strategy is key, and it requires leveraging the brand's unique selling points and conveying these benefits or qualities to consumers in a very compelling way. And it's about aligning with consumer values to create those different levels of aspiration, demonstrating how the brand actually contributes to their lifestyle or helps them further their goals, and entice this in essence can entice consumers to trade up to the different levels of aspiration.
You know what I find interesting about just the point about services that add value, Craig, is people very often people misconstrue what value really is as a tangible, right? And they kind of go, okay, well, yeah, if I'm giving so much, then how much am I getting? Right?
Yes.
They immediately go to an internalized thinking of value, and you kind of go, no, you're missing the point of the value here. Value is an energy exchange, and how you perceive that and how you get people to see what the value is very, very important. And the more value you actively, intentionally add, value then starts returning in very, very many ways.
And that's why it's a perfect segue into trend number 3 for today, Kevin. That is pursuit of value.
So there we go.
So on the back of this economic volatility and the COVID pandemic, consumers are definitely a lot more cautious about their spending habits, which helps them prepare for future shocks. There's a lot more realization of provisioning for the future. Consumers are actively looking for bargains or discounts or getting better quality at a lower cost. And brand loyalty becomes less apparent as value for money takes precedence. The key point to note, though, is that consumers seek value in different ways, as you state, such as, and as such, brands really need to be able to care and cater for the different layers of value out there, like consumers stretching resources or desires to be less wasteful on the back of conscious consumption choices. And that's an incredibly important point there. Here we have 3 areas that are focus areas for innovation. The first being value for money. So brands need to compete on factors that center around that perceived value, the extra functions or the features, and not just price positioning, for example, quality or longevity of product. But brands also need a clear understanding of what the customers want and use this to guide the approach to value for money. The second focus area is about explicit benefits. So taking some of our previous conversations into account, we know that while motivations tend to differ, shoppers definitely make purchase decisions based on research, recommendations, for example, customer reviews as reinforcement, or facts. And as such, product marketing really needs to be transparent and clearly communicate the value of the offer. And then the third focus area on this point is about creative solutions. And brands need to think about new business models or solutions that actually help them extend the life of a product, including offering really great proposition as refurbished or second-hand goods at a lower cost. And these options appeal to conscious consumption and waste reduction buyers, with alternative options being renting or net new production like repairing. And I really appreciate this particular trend, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, especially when, because there's so much that we use up. If you just think of the carbon footprint that we have in business and that we leave behind, when we do really come up with creative solutions of how to reinvent or repair or reuse or recycle or any of that, kind of really adds to what the brand stands for and what the brand DNA really starts showcasing, which is a really important point.
Yeah. So let's look at the the 3 trends for today, Kevin, starting with shopper reinvented. Again, the way we buy goods and services is constantly changing. And as we discussed two weeks ago with social media and even voice-enabled devices doubling up as commerce platforms, important here is brand discovery, engagement, and consumption now happen anytime, anywhere. And as such, brands really need to know where their target audience is. We learned recently that the buying process extends beyond transactions, Kevin. It's about building and establishing relationships before during, and after making a purchase. And obviously, technology is enabling a much more enhanced customer journey with the likes of AR and VR, elevating brand engagements, and automation helping deliver truly curated customer-centric experiences. Here we've got three focus area for innovation as well, Kevin. The first being ubiquity, really great word. We know that customers expect a seamless user experience across all the touch points. So brands need to map and analyze that customer life cycle so that they can improve on the interactions and get much closer to their target audience. The key point to note, though, is that retail operations really need to be agile and adaptable to being able to serve these shoppers in this anywhere, anytime moment. And the critical takeaway there is about be omnipresent. Focus area 2 is about new selling models, and it goes without saying that this digital transformation has definitely created new alternate business models, with many companies having implemented e-commerce and adopting direct-to-consumer strategies, particularly coming out of COVID. And a key example here is click to collect or curbside pickup options. It's important for brands to ensure that they are selling through the right channels, though, as services and store formats are continuously evolving. And then the third focus area is about tech upgrades. It's obviously stated that retail operators should be investing in technology or staying relevant and competitive. It is, however, important for brands to understand which integrations will solve customers' pain points for further brand ethos. And the net result is that wrong applications or tools won't guarantee any movement on ROI. Assess where the investment needs to be based, find those specific use cases, and work with your product categories or your customer base to become more focused.
Yeah. Sustainable living.
Yes, sustainable living, second last trend for the day. It's about having that positive impact on planet and communities, Kevin. Consumers definitely paying more attention to business ethics and moral values, sustainability, animal welfare, and most importantly, production or labor practices. All of these are clearly influencing purchase decisions these days. Brands are under huge pressure to set those responsible standards and champion a sustainable future. A big challenge, however, remains that it is a costly exercise, and consumers aren't typically willing to pay or be able to pay for premium solutions. So brands therefore have to make sustainable efforts. Any action in sustainability has to be delivered in an affordable way as well, Kevin. Here we have three focus areas. The first being commit to the cause. So brands need to have a bit of introspection and ask themselves, what do customers care about and which concerns are they passionate about? They must then make a concerted effort to incorporate those issues into their business mission, understanding where the demand or market gaps exist and what value the target audiences will align with. And in this instance, it's the mission and brand values as opposed to the rand and dollar value. And it's important to review all functions like strategic partnerships, your supply chain management principles and product lines or services, and find those opportunities to effect positive change in the process, Kevin. The second focus area is about affordable alternatives. So whilst the intent and desires to live sustainably, it is quite evident, we clearly learn that affordability continues to be the top challenge preventing mass adoption of sustainability. Consumers are often faced with trade-offs between these cost-effective solutions and sustainable products, but we know that price differences can be prohibitive here. So it's more about creating economic alternatives, so sustainable choices also become easier for customers to select. And the third focus area on this point is circularity. Again, it's a topic that warrants its own show, and something that I've now started looking at and really interested in pursuing as a topic for one of our shows, Kevin. Point here is that consumers are turning to rentals, refurbished items, or second-hand goods for lower cost or more resourceful, affordable options. Circular business models are helping bridge that gap between sustainability and affordability. Brands must explore these new revenue streams, thinking outside of their core offering by considering how to reduce waste or use existing materials throughout the supply chain.
Craig, I mean, like, commit to the cause. Point number one there. I think, especially when you wanna innovate, like if that doesn't come from like the head of the business or the leaders in that organization, it just becomes a nice sentiment, and that I think really speaks to, if you actually want to focus around areas of innovation and really want to impact, leaders need to really wake up and kind of go, okay, cool. As much as we're trying to make the next best product line or make the money work for us, how do we commit to a cause, to like any bloody cause, anything that's other than what it is you're busy with, so that you're actively, intentionally committing to something that changes the world.
And Kevin, consumers are buying into action and behavior, not sentiment. Because sentiment can just be a set of words on a billboard or a television ad or a radio ad. Behavior is the enablement of values and belief systems is through action. And when you are working to demonstrate your alignment with and belief in a cause through your behaviors, that's when you're going to get the hook in, and consumers are going to lean in and join you and participate and support your brand. And obviously that's good for the bottom line.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Like,
yep, absolutely. So the final trend from the report and for our discussion today, Kevin, is wellness. And this point's really about how consumers are taking ownership of their entire well-being, going beyond their physical condition to encompass a point again that we've picked up before, and the whole aspect of mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. And an important here is that self-care and holistic health is starting to take center stage, with preventative care being prioritized. Again, direct consequence of coming out of COVID-19. Products that help improve sleep, mood, and mindfulness signal the beginning of the shift, with consumers' perception evolving to include much broader wellness dimensions around the likes of emotions, and including environmental conscious and economic inclusivity. And scientific developments and digital adoption will definitely continue to expand this market opportunity, with tech-enabled wellness creating precise, data-driven solutions and advanced diagnostics here, Kevin. There are three areas for focus on innovation around this particular point as well. The first being multiple dimensions. And this is an important point, Kevin, because when you describe wellness, what comes to mind? Probably physical and mental health. But as we've just learned, these are only two components of the megatrend, with environmental, social, and financial health being as important and directly linked to emotional well-being. Brands therefore need to adopt this 360-degree view for new product development, as brand building and thinking of awareness is an integral part of the integrated ecosystem. Focus area 2 is about reliable and credible products. Consumers are looking for real results, and product claims need to be supported with a clear understanding that proven efficacy is always a decision swinger. It's about positioning the brand with testimonials, even before and after pics, or research studies which actually may include the likes of medical expertise to validate that credibility. And the final focus area is about precise data. Consumers want accurate data to make these informed decisions about not just their health, but their general lifestyle. And the advantage here is that technology developments are enabling this real-time monitoring and enabling more predictive solutions. These digital integrations definitely improve user experience, and at the end of the day, give consumers much more control over their health and wellness. And yeah, that's it for today, Kevin.
Craig, and I think that's probably, if you, some obvious brands that come to mind that do that have this kind of mechanism in place, or this process, this awareness, is probably F&B and Discovery Health. You've got one, it's multi-dimensional. So you've got one app that sort of links you to your insurance, your banking, your health, you can, if you're stuck on the side of the road, you go to your app. Everything is sort of, and the trend is to be able to find the one solution out of this one space And I think, you can, I think F&B and Discovery are some of the leading brands that are tapping into that.
Yeah, there definitely are a couple others, but you're right, and I'm glad you picked up the F&B aspect, because financial wealth, health, I should say, well, financial wealth, yeah, Freudian slip there. Financial health is probably one of the things that is just so overlooked, and when financial health is not in place, mental health takes an absolute beating as well. So yes, having the likes of Discovery and the wellness side, mental health, physical wellness, linking up with the financial wealth and bringing the two together to create this real balanced outlook on life is a huge positive move. There are a couple of other wonderful add-on apps that allow you to engage with clinical psychologists on the side, that can help you set different eating programs and things like that. So, this integrated ecosystem that it talks about in this point is vitally important, is just being able to ensure that you've got the right inputs and you know how to manage those various inputs to give you that opportunity to improve your mental health and wellness.
Absolutely, yeah. Craig, but you also want to mention something about the actual Euromonitor International.
Yes, yeah, Kevin. Just to close, I think it's we've gone through these points in absolute detail the last 2 days. So the key takeaway for me today is really to say to our listeners, go and have a look at the How to Apply Trends content in conjunction with the workbook in the report. They're really simple to understand, very quick exercise that you can start doing your own exercise to get to understand which of the trends are going to work with you in your business, and how to start categorizing more effective thinking around this particular point, Kevin.
Absolutely, I love that. Guys, so, and a quote for the day, Craig, I thought you'd like this one. If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way.
Oh, wonderful.
And that was from Napoleon Hill. So the common keyword there is being great. Just do the great.
Fantastic. Are you going to have a Taylor Swift quote for us one day?
I should have. I didn't think I was going to bring Taylor Swift into this conversation. But guys, you can get the Lunchtime series every Thursday on live on Ebers Radio around 12 o'clock. And Craig, thank you so much for unpacking this for us. And thanks, as per usual, for the insights.
Thank you for another good conversation. Look forward to next week.
Chat to you soon.
Thanks, Kevin. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.